Welcome, everybody. This is Beer Guys Radio. We are back. It's 2026. What a time to be alive. The world is at peace. There's literally
Yes.
nothing going on
Nothing
anywhere.
happening.
No.
And
Nope.
that's why we drink beer. So thanks for joining us, y'all. We appreciate it. We hope that your holidays and all that were good. We are going to jump into the show. If you have a comment, you want to let us know which beer you're drinking, anything like that, please do drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And let me see. Let me get over here. I got to get back in. We've been gone a minute, as they say. So,
I've forgotten everything already.
I've forgotten literally everything. But with that, here we go, y'all. Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for joining us, hanging out, having a beer. It's a new year. It's time for new beers. 2026 sounds crazy. I'm Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how you doing?
I'm good. It's been I'm a little refreshed from all the time off.
Okay,
even
good.
though I ran myself a little ragged, but I'm recovered and not yet burnt out by being back at
back to the grind.
Daily grind. So
the grind.
Yeah, I'm about as fresh as I'm gonna get. I
Okay.
think.
Sometimes you got to take it, man. That'll have to do. That'll have to do. Nate, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. At the time of this recording, it is midweek, and I'm already exhausted. So happy to be here. Happy to have a tasty beverage in my glass and see you two boys. How are you doing, Tim?
Sometimes that's all you can ask for, Nate. I'm fine. Yeah. So I've making it through fine. We're going through a big transition at my day job. We've merged with another company, and for anyone that's been through a merger, they're never smooth. So it's we went from like a $250 million company to like a $6 billion company, $5.5–6 billion. So a very big jump, and lots and lots and lots of stuff to do. So
at least the right numbers went up. Like we went from $250,000 to a fifth of a million.
So $5 a year.
Yeah,
$5 a year. But
I'm always amazed by how often it happens that one place buys out another, and the one that got bought is the one that effectively takes over. And I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it at all. I'm like, the bigger one is clearly more successful. That's why I bought out the smaller one, and yet somehow the smaller one takes over. And
there's a lot of nuance to this that I will not bore people tuning in to hear about beer with, but we had acquired a company. My company had acquired a company about a year ago, and then both of us were absorbed into our parent company, and we are taking on the processes of the smaller company that we acquired. And my assumption was they just had their ducks in a row better than us. Like if we're taking on new processes, but they're good processes, I'm all about it. Let's do it, man. Change is a constant. It's going to happen. But with that said, let's get into the beer. A big announcement. And, really the fact that I'm just announcing this here rather than a big party, it's a little anticlimactic for how big the news is. But on January 2nd of this year, Beer Guys Radio turned 10. So we did this January 2nd, 2016. We launched the first episode of Beer Guys Radio. We had some of the guys from Creature Comforts on as guests. And we had John Sherry with Little Cottage, who at the time was a home brewer. But he does have a brewery, Little Cottage Brewing, opened here in Atlanta now. And that was our first show. We were on AM 920 The Answer out of Atlanta. For those that haven't been listening since our radio days, we started as a radio show, local radio, and our slogan was actually Georgia Radio for Georgia Beer is where we started at. And we did this for, 4 or 5, 6 months. It wasn't that long. And we had a station manager out of Huntsville, Alabama, that heard us when he was coming through Atlanta and said, "Hey, I'd really like to have you guys on here." And we joined some stations in Huntsville. And we started covering beer kind of in the Southeast. We transitioned to that. And Brian, actually, at the kickoff of the show, my co-host was Aaron Williams. Brian was not with the show at the time. Neither was Nate. But Brian pretty quickly joined us as what we called a field operative. So this was in the heyday of craft beer. Things were very busy. So it would be quite frequent, actually, that we had several events to be to at the same time. Or we were recording the show and we had an event, something like that. So Brian joined us to give us a little more coverage out there. And then a few years later, Aaron departed the show, and Brian came on as full-time co-host. We grew the show to where we were syndicated internationally because we did have a couple international stations. I think about
Guam.
50
We had
stations.
Guam.
Yep.
And I think we had about 60 stations total at our peak. And we actually had someone drop us a message one time. They were staying at a hotel in Guam, and the local like public access cable channel played radio in the background. They're like, guys, I'm at a hotel in Guam and Beer Guys Radio.
Yeah.
So that was fun. But that's it. You know, we've ridden a lot. Beer's changed a lot in a decade, you know. So that's what we've seen. Like we talked about it sometimes in the in shows past. We went through the IBU wars, you know, the ABV wars. We've seen sours kind of rise and fall, you know, wild ales there and that. So there's been lots of changes, and you know, it's not quite what it used to be, but beer's still kicking out there. There's still great craft beer, more great craft beer than ever, to be quite honest with you. So we are spoiled for choice in craft beer right now. But that's it. For those of you who have been with us, you know, either since the beginning or for a long time, we appreciate it very much. For those that are newer to us, we're 10, y'all. Can you believe that? So we're going to crank it right along, talk about these beers.
And it's wild how many things have changed since
A decade,
since 10.
Brian.
Yeah,
A decade.
Crazy.
Well, Brian, you talked about your traveling over the holidays because we were actually out for 2 weeks. You know, Christmas and New Year's coming up there, and you went over to coastal Georgia and then up to the mountains. You did it all, mountains and the beach there. And one of the things you did on your trip, you got by Griffin and Sphinx Brewing in North Carolina, which is a brewery that is now was founded and is owned by Wayne Wombles, who was previously the brewmaster at Cigar City. So how was that, Brian?
That was cool. That was one of the highlights. I did also get over to Silver Bluff, which I always do on coastal Georgia. I don't want to diminish them at all. It was always fun to stop there. But
they have your spruce tip beer, right? That you get every year.
They do, in fact, and it will be making an appearance, you know, in the show. But
all righty.
Yeah, I was in Highlands, North Carolina, beautiful little mountain town. I think it's a little getaway place for the well-to-do in the South when it gets too warm, or just it's really nice during Christmas too. So it was fun. And I was looking around. I'm trying to find a place to, you know, like a brewery or things like that. And there was one in town, and went there. I was looking around, and I started seeing stuff in Brevard. You know, I'm like, oh, I know that name. What do I know it for? Like, Oscar Blues is there, so I was going to go there. And I was looking around through it again, and I saw Griffin and Sphinx, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's there! I've forgotten about that." So obviously, that I had a limited amount of time. It was me and the wife, so I didn't have exclusive control of all the things we did. So
right.
I'm like, if I'm only going to go one place, I'm going to Griffin and Sphinx. I'm going to see if Wayne Wombles is there. He is. It's a very small operation, and if they're open, he and his wife are there. They're running the thing, and he might be behind the bar as he was when I was there, or he might actually be brewing right there in the tap room floor. All the tanks and the brew house is right against the wall, and he brews whenever he's ready to do it. So sometimes you might see him brewing, and sometimes you might see him pouring beers in there, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he's. We talked about a bunch of stuff. It was cool talking to him. I don't think I'd ever met him personally, and
okay.
I know that you had, but I hadn't. So it was cool talking to him, and you know, I talked to a bunch of stuff about like, what do you think about them closing the original tap room? He's like, you know what, I've been away from that for so long. It was just like, that's their thing. I'm not even into it anymore. I've been doing this for so long. So. And I also asked him, like, so what you're brewing, like, are you bringing any of the beers over under new names or anything like that? He's not really doing recreations of those beers. He's continuing to push it forward and develop new things. But he did tell me, and I specifically asked about Hunapu, or like, you're going to come up with something like Hunapu. It's like, well, he is, but it's not going to be based on the same exact beer that the other one was. I think that was Marshall Zukov or something. It was the original base beer, but it's something else. It's going to be very similar in style, except it's going to be half the ABV. So it's going to be a drinkable Hunapu. It's not going to be quite as intense as it was. Unfortunately, it's in tanks or in a barrel. It's ready nearly, but it wasn't released. It's going to be released in like a couple of weeks. So
gotcha.
I barely missed it. So I'm sad about that. But I did get to have his IPA called Hi-Ya, which he said is what Hi-Li would be if he had brewed it for the current beer taste and scene. So it's very similar to Hi-Li, but it's just adjusted. So had he brewed that beer today, Hi-Li today, that's what it would be. He's still doing a lot of like a ton of experimentation with interesting woods. He mentioned he's in close proximity to like a lumber yard and a bunch of antiques and things like that. He said it would just be crazy if he didn't, take advantage of the access to all these woods. So he has stuff on sugar maple wood, Spanish cedar, sakura wood, cherry wood, amburana, American oak, all of these things. And I had a Sakura wood aged winter ale, which is like a red IPA. Was great. And Sakura is like I think it's a Japanese variation on cherry wood.
It's a Japanese cherry tree, right?
Yeah, that was the best thing I had there. It was beautiful. That was an excellent beer. He also had a Spanish cedar version of High Ya, which is his high adjustment. And I think I got the very first pour that has ever been poured of that. It's like it hadn't been served. It was put on that morning, and I was the first one to get it. That was also very good. So, unfortunately, his beer isn't going out into distribution. So if you're, in North Carolina or the surrounding environments looking for it, you're not going to find it. You're going to have to go to the tap room. The fun thing is he's releasing his package out of the tap room, all bombers, 22-ounce bottles.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm
awesome.
crazy because I either like big bottles or small ones. Give me 8 ounces or a 750. Oh wow, bomber.
Yeah, I think it's great. I miss bombers. There's such a throwback. Nobody does them anymore. So he was nearly out of everything. I grabbed two. He had two different things that were available, and there was a little bit of each, and I grabbed one of each. And so 22-ounce bottles. They are the original long beer. So I will be opening those up for a long beer Friday coming up very soon. So I'm excited about it. I really enjoyed going there. He's a very cool guy. Talked at length about anything you want to talk about. Was never annoyed or irritated by any of it. At least not that he showed. Maybe he was. I don't know. I'm sure he gets a lot of the same questions again. Yeah, internal strife. I'm not sure, but very cool. I definitely recommend if you get into Brevard, make a point of stopping there. It's very cool.
Very cool, man. Good stuff. So, I got to go back to a question you said. You were talking about the wood he used that, and you said he's near a lumber yard and antiques. Brian, are you suggesting he's like hacking up furniture and putting it in the beer?
Well, I only know that because I got there a little early and I went into an antiques next door. I'm like, it's not impossible, but I don't think so. It was a very wood heavy antique place, like a lot of like reclaimed lumber. So it's like there's wood all around there. Like there's a wood place on one side, and then there's an antique place that's very heavy on like reclaimed wood. So there's a lot of wood there.
All right.
I'm guessing he's probably not pulling it from the antiques. I just mentioned that because that was on my brain. I actually went over there looking to see if I could find any vintage polo fragrances or anything like that. Like no, I didn't find anything like that. So yeah. No,
right.
I don't expect he's going to be using anything with weird, solvents and whatnot in it. No, I don't.
That's what I thought. I was like, all right, let me just see here. I figure there was some information or details there that I wasn't quite grasping.
Yeah, and I don't know if you'll listen to this. I'm like, I'm trying not to say anything wrong. He's definitely not doing anything unsafe. All the wood he's using is good stuff. So
no varnish in your beer, none at all. All right, guys. Well, moving right along here, our beers of the week. Brian, go right ahead, sir. What are your beers this week?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was looking around for difficult to find a dedicated beer store in the part of North Carolina I was in. I wound up going to like an Ingles, and that had the best selection I'd found anywhere. But I found Sierra Nevada has just released something called Springfest, which is an IPA with a ton of Centennial and some Citra on top of it. They just released that. It's actually very pleasant, very it's an IPA. It's a very sunshiny, very citrusy, skewing kind of lemon peel. Very nice, very enjoyable IPA for springtime. I'm currently working on Resonant Culture's Disco Baby, which is an IPA hop with Amarillo, Simcoe, and Citra, and it's enjoyable. And I will be having a Silver Bluff Hazy Holiday IPA, which is the New England IPA with spruce tips, as is tradition for me to drink this time of year. And I brought back a sixer of that, and I've got a few left, and I'm going to have one of them tonight. So that's what I'm doing.
Good stuff. Nate, how about you, sir?
So normally Party Nate and I will take a month off every year to go dry. And this year we are actually pinstriping the entire year. So we're alternating weeks. So this week is a dry week for us. And so from Burial, I've got their Social Device non-alcoholic Pilsner in my glass. It's really tasty. It doesn't have like the warty flavor that so often you'll get from a non-alcoholic beer. And then on deck from Burial as well, I've got Chaos Machine, which is a non-alcoholic IPA with Citra Mosaic, and it's actually double dry hopped with Citra hops. So Really
Nice.
looking forward to it. It's kind of a refreshing departure from my normal craft beer non-alcoholic experience, where a lot of them just taste a little homebrewy or they taste like unfermented beer. So
Yeah,
these have
they're
been
getting
really
better.
delightful. Hmm.
Well, that's something. Yeah. Speaking of that, dry January, and I know it was a few years ago. Breweries didn't say much about dry January for a while. They kind of let it go on because, especially when beer was booming, people were still going to the brewery. So it's like, all right, if you guys want to go dry, so be it. But as beer slowed down a little bit, and really dry January, I think took hold a little bit more. The breweries are like, no, y'all, don't go dry. We need you. We need you.
Hmm.
We can't have a whole month where you don't drink there. So if you want your brewery to stay open, you need to support them. But a lot of them have done before the non-alcoholic beer started offering some just non-alcoholic beverages, other beverages there. But a lot of the breweries now, there are other methods to brew non-alcoholic beer, different methods that, when it first came out, like talking to Athletic, you needed a lot of really special equipment to do a non-alcoholic beer. Like just a normal brewery couldn't just brew a non-alcoholic beer. And I know that they now have yeasts that ferment. Is it fermentation? Because
It is. Yeah, they
is it
produce.
fermentation? Because I know alcohol is a byproduct. That's just low alcohol fermentation, right?
Uh, yeah, so what I think it is they produce more esters, so the fermentation can produce
Yeah,
because you get fermentation a lot of different things. Some alcohol, but less alcohol and more like esters and other
gotcha.
compounds and CO2. So it is. It's just fermentation doesn't necessarily have to produce alcohol, but it typically does. I
I guess
believe
that's like
anyway.
making homemade sauerkraut. That's a fermented product, and you're
Yeah.
not,
Hmm.
you're not gonna get sloshed off a Reuben sandwich.
They're giving
So
you it's the bacteria are producing lactic acid instead of
yeah,
alcohol. That is another potential way of doing it, in which but there probably will be a little bit of alcohol in that as well. I'm sure there is. So
less than 5%, right?
oh, I'm
So
sure. I've never been
yeah,
drunk off a sauerkraut, but
no.
I'm not afraid to try,
I
honestly.
bet your guts would get tore up pretty good before you got drunk. You'd
It
just
would be
be
the worst
you
hangover ever.
would be terrible, terrible there, man. But lots of breweries I saw. Vine Pair's a site that we get some info from that we talk about because they do a lot of different beer lists and such. And they had, the top 20 non-alcoholic beers. Athletic stays at the top of the list, man. Most of the places you go, Athletic stays up there pretty good. And it's actually been a minute since I've had an Athletic beer. I'm wondering, because again, love those guys, but Nate, like you talked about, even their good beers, you still had a little warty taste to it.
Hmm.
So it was just kind of that. And so I'm curious kind of where their processes are going now because there is new methods, new ways of doing things. And with them been doing it so long, they've kind of got ahead of the curve there. But I also think there may not be any need for them to make any changes because they're still crushing it out there as far as non-alcoholic
No,
NA beer goes.
they're selling.
Hmm.
I still think that my favorite non-alcoholic beers are probably the Guinness is non-alcoholic.
Yeah,
The Black Butte Porter non-alcoholic is very good too. I don't think either of these are exact replicas of the original beer, but Bitburger does a very refreshing non-alcoholic beer that does not taste like worty or homebrewy or whatever. It just tastes like a super light beer. It's
right.
very crisp. It's very enjoyable. If you like Bitburger like I do, it's very much a welcome thing. And oh, what is the hazy one? Is it Sierra Nevada? Not Sierra Nevada. Like oh man, I forgot what it was. It's just the haze. It's just the haze, and it's from
Is
is
that
it
Sam
Boston beer?
Adams?
I think it's Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Just the haze.
Okay.
I've only had it once or twice, but I was impressed by how good it was and how believable it was as a beer. And those ones stick in my head. And again, if you like Heineken, and they were the ones that really pushed forward I think the yeast that ferments very little alcohol. Their non-alcoholic Heineken tastes exactly like Heineken. So if you like Heineken, non-alcoholic Heineken will serve you very well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
those
stuff,
those
man. Good
imports are
stuff.
really good. One thing that we used to harp on a lot was from Bravis, their peanut butter dark.
oh yes,
That's one
that's
of those
That was
beers that
good.
we always really enjoyed. But yeah, I mean, I can't recommend these burial NAs enough. If you're in an area that can bring in burial beers, I highly recommend asking your local stores to pick up this and try it out yourself.
I think Burial's one you can actually order from off their website.
That's a good
too.
point. You're right.
So,
Yeah.
and I know I'm not sure what all states they ship to, but if they ship to yours and you want to check them out, that's the way you could do it there. And I saw talking of non-alcoholic beers, an interesting one I just saw today. Shiner is now making an NA Bock. So
I'll have to try that.
That's pretty interesting there. Pretty interesting. Well, guys, moving along with our news stories. Some good news here. Yeah, pretty good news there. We, everybody goes in the Christmas spirits there. And we did see just a little bit of boost to some alcohol sales over the holidays.
Yeah, it definitely brought good tidings to beer in general. But so after a sluggish mid-December, total beverage alcohol sales jumped 12% week over week, reaching $1.65 billion during the week ending December 28th. Beer sales were essentially flat year over year. They were up a little tiny bit, nearly 1% dollar-wise. But that's a massive improvement from the previous week. That week had dropped by 5.2% year over year. So it was nice to see it back in the positive. Spirits also saw a major turnaround. They were up nearly 6% in dollars. That was driven mostly by RTD offerings, specifically like pre-mixed single serve and large format cocktails. Those grew 35% and 56% respectively. So those were up big. People were very much into those pre-made cocktails. Wine was the only major category to remain in the red, with dollar sales down nearly 3% and volume down nearly 4%. Wine is having a terrible time these days, which I keep hearing about it. It's really, really bad for them. I don't know why people are abandoning wine. I thought that's always seems to be the health conscious choice whenever somebody asks about alcohol. Like, oh yeah, you should have some wine. It's good for you. I'm like, I don't think people are buying that anymore. And I don't know why. I'm not a really big wine drinker, but anyway, in terms of beer brands that were the big winners over the Christmas week, Modelo, Michelob Ultra, and Pacifico were the big winners. Modelo outperformed Bud Light by over $20 million. Michelob Ultra sales were up like 9%, and Pacifico was up a massive 23%. And this is probably the most I've talked about Pacifico in, 10, 15, 20 years. I don't even know. I didn't know Pacifico was even on anybody's radar, but
guess so, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can't forget about NA beer. We were just talking about it. That's up over 21% during this period. And this is before dry January starts. And I don't think this is people just stocking up, getting ready for it. I don't think you have to stock up. There's plenty of that around. So it's going to be a big month for non-alcoholic beer coming up.
People doing non-alcoholic beer at their Christmas parties. It sounds like ringing in the new year.
You need to have those options for people. Yeah, these days.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I guess it's good that we're seeing more of the craft breweries get into it now. So they still have that revenue stream. It also makes it great for going to the tap rooms. I forget which brewery it was now, but they did like a stamp card thing, like a passport thing for dry January. They're like, come on in here. And, we've heard from some others like the brew pubs here. It's like, look, even if you're not drinking, come in and have a meal, just show that support for your brewery. So they're on it. The craft beer industry is definitely on their campaign against people going dry in January. They just keep coming out and drinking there. Absolutely. But Brian, speaking of dry January, moving along with that, people are still doing it, man. Still quite popular. So what's it look like this year for the predictions for dry January?
Earlier in the year, I was hearing the whispers that it wasn't going to be as good, and I think those whispers are not going to turn out to be true, at least not according to the survey. 2 in 5 or 40% of consumers plan to take part in dry January in this January right now, basically, according to a recent survey by CGA. The actual breakdown of the survey is 24% of people that responded say they are very likely to participate. 16% say they're somewhat likely. 27% say they are unsure if they're going to participate, which the weird. I'm like, I guess they did do this in December, so they have time to figure it out. And the remaining 33% say that they're either unlikely or very unlikely to participate. So the breakdown by generations, which is interesting. Gen Z is 50%. Half of Gen Z is going to participate. Millennials are 49%, so they're very close. Gen X, 38%. We are the ones dragging it down.
Yeah.
We're still out there like, what? No, we're going to keep drinking. You guys enjoy yourselves. Baby boomers are at 44%, so they're involved too. Last year's responses were pretty similar, or this year's were pretty similar to last year's responses. So there's not a significant loss. So like they were talking about during the year, like dry January is like passe and people are not going to be into it. So no, it's about the same percentages. The interesting thing is if you assume it's going to work out the same way it did last year, by mid-January, about 29% of consumers were still committed to having the dry month. That's about 11% of people giving up after only a few weeks. So I was going to ask if either of you are doing a dry January. I think we know the answer. Mo McNate, did you say pinstriping or zebra striping it?
Yeah, I'm not going to give Gen Z the pleasure of knowing that I'm going to bow to their terminology. So but yes, I am zebra striping, but our plan is to do it the entire year. So every other week is dry, every other week is regular drinking.
That sounds terrible, Nate. I wish you luck.
Spirit.
It sounds like a really terrible idea, but good luck.
Good luck. I mean, we could call it 50% doctor's orders, maybe.
I guess so. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm not going dry. I just consume less than I used to, just for health reasons. And if I want a beer, I'll have a beer, but it's not like I'm drinking daily as it is. So, we'll make it through this.
Is drinking the THC beverages cheating for this? Because it seems like it is. It seems like if you're just switching over to CBD, THC, and you're still getting your buzz on, I'm like, what are you doing?
So
you're just kind of swapping out your vices. So like,
I'm not Catholic, so I can't speak to this, but I know like when Lent comes around and they have to give things up, some of them get very specific to what they give up. Like they'll be like, I actually, true story, one time I knew someone who gave up chips. They're like, yeah, I eat chips all the time, so they gave up chips for Lent. Hosed popcorn the entire time. just ate a crazy amount of popcorn. So it's like, what are you doing here? And I guess it is obviously to them, they thought that was fine, and that's between them and their God, whatever they want to do there. But I kind of wonder if it's along those lines, Brian. But I think with dry January, the thing is the alcohol, because I don't think the THC and stuff that does that. There's more and more reports. I didn't get a chance because it came out late, but I saw the Brewers Association said new dietary guidelines had been put out, and they said that it was still, actually I did kind of see the headline of it. I didn't read the details, but basically less alcohol for health is still the thing. Cut your alcohol consumption. So Brian, I believe this is my personal stance, and since I don't partake of THC, I don't have a dog in this fight, but no, not cheating if you do that, because the purpose of dry January is to reduce alcohol consumption. Do shrooms. I mean, do dry and trippy January. So
it's like, yeah, I'm going dry, but I am doing heroin, so I've switched.
Yeah,
over.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah,
good for you.
It's good you're getting you're yourself on the right track.
Yeah, congrats, man. Wish you luck there. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's cheating. And you got to think too. There's that whole Cali sober terminology as well, where it's like, I'm sober, but I still do a little bud on the side.
That ain't sober though, right?
I agree with you, but it's not. It's dry January. Like to Tim's credit, it's dry January, not sober January. So if you're going sober and you're still doing an intoxicant, I think that's cheating. But if you're just going dry implies alcohol.
Dry means moisture, so no drinks at all. Like I don't want to see you. I don't want to see
water.
You. Like you could smoke.
What
the
about
stuff.
like
I don't
an
want to see you
IV
drinking
drip? Can you hydrate that way?
How moist is the IV?
It's pretty moist, Brian. It's pretty moist.
As long as it's dry on the outside, I think
okay.
It's fine.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. Yeah. Tyler said he's gonna stick to sniffing glue.
Modeling
glue. Yeah, it's still in. That
doesn't.
Now modeling glue is wet, but he's not ingesting it, so I think that's fine, right?
He's just smelling it. Yeah, he's getting close to it, but he's not actually ingesting it. So I think he's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Put it in a bag. Make sure it's far away from you, and then take a big old huff out. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah. We're good with that. Oh man, we're gonna get in so much trouble one day. No.
Don't anybody do that. I don't.
We don't. No. You know what? It's your life. We don't.
I mean, if you want to, if your doctor's told you should inhale glue out of a paper bag, then you should do it. But
Sure,
only if your
Brian.
doctors told
Sure.
you should do that. Yeah.
Sure. Do it up.
Yeah.
Brian, before we move along, man, let's give a shout out to our sponsor who is also 10 years old this month, Truck and Tap.
Well, you know what? You've done it. Despite all the odds, you've made it through another holiday season mostly unscathed, and that calls for a celebratory beer or two. But where can you even find beer these days? That's what you're wondering. I know. Don't worry. I know a place. It's called Truck and Tap, and they have all the beers, 20 taps at a time. But I get it. You're still worn out from all the holiday festivities, the spirit, and all that. And you need a beer to help you decide which beer you want to get. And I got you there. Let me help you get started with my beer picks for the week. At Truck and Tap Woodstock, they got multiple locations. I'm going with Untitled Art's Chocolate Cheesecake Stout. Untitled Art does impressive work with their pastry stouts, so I'm betting this one is excellent. I don't think I've had it yet, but rumor has it you can even taste the graham cracker crust in this beer, and that kind of thing always impresses me with pastry stouts. If you can taste the crust stuff of whatever the pastry is, I'm like, ugh, I like that. You've nailed it. At the Duluth location, I'm getting Pontoon's Campfire Coffee Brown. I have a lot of love for a good brown ale and even more love for a good coffee beer, regardless of what the style is that has the coffee in it. This roasty brown ale features Apotheos coffee, which we know those guys. That reminds me, it's been a minute since I've had any of their coffee, so by having this beer, I get to have a good coffee beer, and I get to, have their coffee again. So that's a win-win right there. At Truck and Tap Alpharetta, my pick is Brooklyn's Black Ops. A few weeks ago, I was talking about how great this beer is, and specifically this year, really, really good. I'm happy to see it on the tap list at Truck and Tap. If you haven't had it before, this is a perfect opportunity to try it. If a barrel-aged Russian Imperial Stout seems intimidating, just get a taster. I'll bet you'll like it. But you know what? You don't have to commit to a full pour of it. It's quite a beer. It's quite a beer. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, I'm going with Delirium's Barrel-Aged Sour Blonde. I don't think I've ever seen this beer before. It's a Belgian strong blonde that spent over 18 months aging and souring in oak and stainless vessels. Check-ins on Untapped have me thinking this is a one-off limited edition beer. I've seen the big white bottles, and it does say limited edition on it, so that's kind of a spoiler. I have to try it, and I was thinking, like, I've just had a Brett Saison recently I bought off the shelf, like from the new section of beer, and I see this on tap. I'm like, how great would it be if sour, wild, and Brett beers made a big comeback this year? I'm not holding out for it, but I'm definitely getting this beer. I recommend you try it out too. And there you have my beer picks for the week. As always, if you'd like to see the full tap list before stopping by, take a look at truckandtap.com. The taps, they change quickly. You never know what great new beer might go on or which of these beers might be finishing up. And if you'd like to see what the food trucks are serving and what events are happening, your trivia, your karaoke, your bingo, your live music, that sort of thing, you can also find that at truckandtap.com. Everything you need to know can be found at truckandtap.com, so check it out. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you, Truck and Tap. We appreciate you. Brian, Sycamore Brewing, we've talked about them. Again, kind of an unfortunate thing with our Christmas beer episode, our holiday beer episode, one of their beers did want to win one of our top spots, and right after that, one of the owners, was caught in some really nasty stuff. Several charges there. More updates, things happening there, and I do believe pretty quickly that owner was out from the company, but that's not stopping the fallout for the brewery.
It is definitely not. Yeah, it's such. I hate that we released that episode, and the news came out like within a day, like a day prior to it. Like, oh, yeah, bad time. Yeah. Anyway, yes, Sycamore Brewing in Charlotte, North Carolina. They have temporarily closed their tap room. They did it on January 5th of this week. According to a letter posted by the brewery's now sole owner, Sarah Taylor, the closure is intended to allow for, quote, processing, healing, and reimagining of the space. Of course, the closure comes 3 weeks after the other co-founder and former owner, Justin Brigham, was arrested on charges of doing very bad things to a very young person. Not going to get into it. But he is currently being held on $11.25 million bond, so he's not going anywhere soon. In the wake of the arrest, Sarah Taylor filed an amended annual report with the state, listing herself as the sole company official and removing Brigham from all responsibilities and ownership. So she took action quick. He was out very fast, so very much officially she's the only owner on this. Sycamore is experiencing significant fallout, like Tim was saying, from their retail partners and their customers following the arrest. They've lost a ton of big retail accounts, like grocery stores, I think Whole Foods and some other ones, Food Line, places like that. And their beer has been kicked out of area bars and stores. It's also been announced that the Charlotte Douglas International Airport will be replacing their the Sycamore tap room that was there with one from a different brewery, so they're out there as well. And we previously mentioned that Sycamore was in the process of opening up a new location when the news broke, and those plans have also apparently been scrapped officially. So that's just not going to happen. And there are even rumors, but nothing confirmed, that I could find that Sycamore might be dropped by the distributor. So I don't know if this brewery survives. Honestly, they're going from being a pretty big dog to being just nothing. It's
the market's tough already without having all this happening there. So, who knows? And Brian, I have to say, I understand what the stores are doing and the customers that don't want to support them. I feel bad for anybody that was caught up, in the crossfire with all of this, So I have to assume, and I hope that I'm right, that, his partner there didn't know of any of these activities going on. And but definitely understandable the reaction. You don't you have that kind of activity attached to your brewery, even if you separate from it. There's still a lot of bad connotations there.
There was some discussion I saw somewhere about the possibility of maybe they rename it, and that might be the way it could survive if it just took on a new name. And I got to point out, I'm assuming that the person that was arrested was involved and knew anything about it. I'm just assuming that's the case. I don't know, but the current owner, what was her name? Sarah Taylor. She changed her last name. She made it clear that she's no longer a part of his life either. Like she's cut him off as well. So that kind of a quick reaction, like I'm cutting you out of my life, makes it seem like, man, I don't know that anybody there had anything to do with this, but they are going to be punished for it. So I don't know. It's one of those things. I definitely understand. Like if I had a business, I wouldn't want that there because that's the product of somebody that was just a terrible human being. So I wouldn't want that in it's going to make me look bad selling it. So I get that as well. So yeah, that's why I'm thinking, like, I saw a little bit of a thing like maybe renaming. I'm like, that might be your best bet. You may need to rename this place completely, maybe even move the location or something. I don't even know what you need to do, but
who knows,
I don't know with that.
Who knows, Brian? But moving along, Brian, vaccines, such a hot topic right now. Do we take them? Do we not? What's recommended? What isn't? But here's one to add just even a bigger curveball to it. Someone has made a beer that's also a vaccine.
Yeah, and it's a little controversial. This is a pretty wild story. I was reading it, partly thinking this is cool and also partly thinking my BS detector is going off. I don't know what to make of this. But so virologist Chris Buck of the National Cancer Institute has developed a way to deliver a vaccine against polyomaviruses with beer. He's specifically using a farmhouse beer for this, a farmhouse ale. So what are polyomaviruses, you ask? And I hope I'm saying that right. So basically nasty things that can cause cancer and severe bladder pain. And I think they're known for that area of the body doing bad things. But they're also apparently known for being super dangerous for people who have weakened immune systems, specifically transplant patients. You have to take some stuff that suppresses your immune system when you get a transplant of any kind, and these things will wreak havoc on it. Apparently, this is more geared towards those people. But so how it all works is instead of getting an injection like you would think of with a vaccine, the vaccine is delivered by the yeast in the beer. So the haze in the beer is the medicine. So people that like hazy beers will probably enjoy that. The yeast has been engineered to carry empty viral shells, and these shells trigger an immune response in the gut without causing an infection. So the gut recognizes it as a bad thing, but it's actually not it's not a bad thing. It's just a husk of a bad thing. So yes. So the problem and the controversy is getting the vaccine beers into the hands of the people who could use it. So the creator of the vaccine beer thinks it's because it's a beer and all the components of the beer meet the FDA's definition of being generally considered safe, generally regarded as safe, and that's a quote. The vaccines could, go through the process a lot faster than they typically would have. But if successful using that approach, that of course means it couldn't be sold as medicine or treatment for anything. So, much like anything that's electrolytes in beer, they can't say it's a cure. They can't call it an elixir. They can't call it a tonic. They have to be very careful with what it does. It may be, beneficial to drink these things, but they can't say it is. So, and theoretically, another aspect of this is that people could brew their own vaccines with the yeast, should that yeast become available, and that's something they've been talking about doing. So the idea of brewing your own vaccine definitely is controversial among scientists that have commented on this idea in the story. And it was a pretty long story. Many of them think this will end up, further eroding people's trust and the efficacy of safety of vaccines. So people will think even less of all vaccines as a result of this. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe, but the creator of the vaccine, again, Chris Buck, claims that the speed and the possible DIY aspect of it will make it more quickly and readily available to people who need it, specifically those transplant recipients. Which I guess it's difficult to get what they need in a timely manner, and I think it's allocated. So. The other controversial thing is the lack of testing. Basically, dude tested it on rats, saw that it worked, then brewed a beer with it, and then he drank it, and then he tested himself and did see he got the expected antibodies spiking after he drank it. But one guy in a bunch of rats isn't exactly scientific rigor. So I'm just going to reiterate that I'm kind of skeptical about this. I'm like, my BS detector went off a little bit reading this, but yeah, it was in I think a reputable website, sciencenews.org. So I don't know what you guys think of that.
It sounds sus, Brian.
I'm more than slightly skeptical. I'm very highly skeptical. And like you said, one dude, a bunch of rats. I'm curious if I see more people try to replicate this. But
that just sounds crazy. It's like scientific results from one dude and a bunch of rats. Like they weren't even put them in a lab, get another scientist. We need some peer review here.
Exactly. I did send a message to Becky Smalls the other day, asking her what she thought of it. She said, "I'm surprised that would work. I would expect that the stomach acid would have dissolved that and prevented it from
destroyed
happening."
It. Yeah.
And in the story, the dude that said this said he also thought the same thing, but he tried it out and he was impressed that it didn't. It didn't happen. So I don't know, but there's not a lot of proof. There's not really proof to this. There's information about how it works, but no actual proof that it does. So
that's one thing I've heard about, the prebiotics, probiotics, all of this is big stuff out there right now. But I've heard that a lot of the tablets that you take, or a lot of them that you take that are supposed to do so well for you, they're destroyed before they can do what they're supposed to do there. So I guess there's supposed to be a couple that, I don't know the technical terminology for it, but I guess they survive long enough to get into, I think they got to get down into your intestines and colon and stuff to do what they're supposed to do there. But, they tell you, take this pill. It's got, this and this and this and this. Well, if you're destroying it and getting a minuscule amount, it's really, nothing from it. So.
But there's also the thought that a lot of the things we eat over time, we develop the ability to digest them because some of the bacteria makes it down in there. So I guess some of it somehow gets
does
in there eventually. I mean,
but if you think that you're getting a little bit of that, like if you eat fermented foods on a regular basis, those are naturally produced. It's not. My understanding is that does work better, and it's something that's more long term. There, you're taking whether it's kefir or cultured yogurt with live stuff in there. I know they've got the one you see advertised all the time, the little yogurt drink Activia. I think you can get an actual yogurt or a yogurt drink, but that's it's a live culture yogurt beverage that's supposed to help with with stomach issues and that. So, but just eat you some good fermented foods. And you can't. So here's the thing. Is I've seen people talk about getting sauerkraut with live cultures on it, but then they cook it. They'll throw it in a pot with some sausage, or they'll heat it up and put it on a Reuben. You're killing it. The fact that it's got cultures there, they're not there for you anymore. So But I don't know. I'm not a science person, Brian. I'll say that. I enjoy science. I find it fascinating, but as far as the methodologies of how everything works and the processes there, that's not me.
A lot of people make the same mistake with kombucha. A lot of the shelf stable stuff out there
Yeah,
is only shelf stable because
they've
the
killed it
actual
off.
the actual
Yeah,
probiotic bacteria is dead. It's just you're drinking the corpses of that. It ain't going to do anything for you.
yeah.
It might taste good though, and it'll
And
give you the
people
feeling of
see
doing something good, but it won't do anything for you.
right, and people will see that, and I think you can even get tricky with the marketing on there. Like they could say something like brewed with natural cultures, brewed with live
Yeah.
cultures. That's technically true. The fact that they pasteurized it after it was brewed, but it was in fact brewed with live cultures there. So you're just getting some sour tea essentially.
I have
Mm.
stopped saying it to people because it always just ruins their day. I'm like, "Ah, let them
Yeah.
have it. Let them have
Well,
it.
yeah,
It's
leave it
not hurting
alone.
them probably. In fact, they can drink more of that because they're not going to make themselves sick. If you drink real kombucha in the
Yeah.
volume that I've seen other people drinking, like the shelf stable stuff out of the grocery store, you can make yourself sick with all the bacteria you get.
Well, I can tell you that like homemade fermented foods like sauerkraut and that, you can get too much to get yourself upset there because I made a particularly good batch of sauerkraut one time and I was just really enjoying a basic ham and cheese sandwich loaded up with sauerkraut. And I think I went through a batch of sauerkraut in 2 or 3 days. And it was probably a heavy quart, I would guess. But I got gurgly. I got gurgly there. So, having that much culture in there, everything in moderation, Brian.
Yeah, yeah, I love this stuff. I fresh like the actual stuff with all of the funk
Yeah.
to it, and especially there it develops with time, and the older it gets, the better it gets, and j- but sparingly enough
Yeah.
for the sandwich, but not all the time, not every day. But
Now, because
yeah,
we've departed from beer just slightly here, I will say there are some breweries that will actually take some of the liquid off of a batch of sauerkraut and use it for like a kettle sour for their lactobacillus cultures.
that would be
So,
cool, especially the
yeah.
older stuff, the
Yeah.
really mild and interesting subtle sauerkraut that like I don't think most people advise you to do it, but 6 months or whatever, like sauerkraut can go a long way and do some really interesting
Okay.
things, and
Yeah.
it'll get pretty soft, but it has a lot of really cool complexity to it. Use that in a beer. That would be a cool beer. That'd be a
Now I want
very
a
cool beer.
sandwich
Yeah,
loaded up with sauerkraut, Brian. I'm
I do
missing
Well, and
it.
too.
I'm
also
missing
bringing
it.
it back to beer, we talked about how sours had their rise and fall. Back in the day, people were ingesting sour so much that I had more than one occasion a friend would say, "Oh, I got to lay off the sours because it's really affecting my gut."
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting ripped up. So, yeah, no, I could definitely see taking the culture from sauerkraut, but also, you ingesting a whole batch of sauerkraut and within a 10-day period or whatever, messing you up too.
Didn't they
Yeah,
have a
or chugging beers. We've been to beer fest, sour beer fest, where there's bowls of Tums
I was gonna
put
say
out
that it was
there.
a big bowl
Yeah.
of Pepto or Tums. Like it was
Ooh.
right out there in a goblet for everybody to take. Like
Yeah.
we know you're gonna drink all these, and it's crazy to think of. Like everybody's like, oh, the fruit and juicy and they're like soft and all that. We wanted bracingly sour. Like I didn't specifically, but in general, the industry wanted it. How insane can it be? And like it was
Yeah.
a challenge. It was TikTok didn't exist then, but it would have been the sour challenge on TikTok had it been. Yeah, and we needed medicine to drink our beer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you need to chill out if you go to an event that there's a medicine that you need to take to fully enjoy the event there. So
Yes.
crazy stuff, man. Well, Brian, Jim Beam, some big news about Jim Beam. This news it's been out a minute, so some people may have heard it, but again, we've been out for the holidays, so we want to make sure to share this with you. But this is big. I mean, this is
Yeah.
really big. Jim Beam has halted production at their main distillery for a full year.
Yeah, yeah. Suntory Spirits or Global Spirits that's who owns Jim Beam. They're halting that the all the distilling at the main Claremont, Kentucky distillery the entire year, the whole year. Crazy. As to why, the company cited a need for quote unquote site enhancements, which seems convenient, but also they are talk about a realignment of production levels to match the current customer demand, which seems more like the real thing. In short, there's a bit of an oversupply issue. There's a lot of bourbon hanging out. Kentucky's bourbon inventory is a record high of 16 million barrels. Distillers are currently facing a crushing $72 million tax bill on these aging barrels. They got to pay tax on this. The stuff's not sold, that's a 27% increase over what they paid last year, basically. And tariffs, of course, are not helping out either. They have crippled export growth, so you're not growing when there's a penalty on all of the stuff that's going out there. And, of course, Canada basically boycotting all American spirits has further dampened international sales. So that's a lot less bourbon they're selling up north. So while the main distillery pauses, the other Kentucky operations, their bottling, warehousing, and the visitor center will remain open. So if you're up there and you want to visit, you still can. Production will also continue at Jim Beam's smaller facilities. Apparently they got one or two of them, so they will continue doing some small amount of distilling at those facilities in 2026, just nothing at the main one. So it won't be nothing going out, but very little of it. So very interesting. It is a great time to be a fan of bourbon. All of the people that were buying it and flipping it, the people that were making it ridiculous and difficult to buy anything of any quality, any value at all, they're out. Like they've given up. The supply is big. There's no profit to be made for people flipping. I'm buying bourbon again. I'm drinking.
Take advantage of the market, Brian. Take advantage of the market.
It's been like 10 years. I basically gave up on bourbon, and now I'm back. And I went to Kentucky last year, and I'll probably may go again this year. I don't know how all of that's going to work out, but I bought some bourbon when I was on the coast. Some stuff from Savannah Distilling, great stuff. I don't think that would have been hard to find, but I've bought some other things that I've found on the shelf, and I'm looking at bourbon again. So it's a great time for me. It's not a good time for them, but I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting a long time, Tim. A long time.
Can we get Pappy? You think will that become a shelfie? Little Pappy 23 at Kroger on the shelf?
Kroger. Well, I mean, if we could do that in this state, I don't know about that. I think that's still going to be, people will for a while at least still be buying that up. I don't know how much this slows down, but possibly
at least more affordable, not the ridiculous prices like we've seen. Even if it came down, even if it had some impact on the price, it may make it more tangible.
Being able to buy like Van Winkle 10 at like a MSRP,
right,
is maybe possible now. Before there's no way.
That's a win.
Yeah, maybe possible. I think there's still some people holding on, hoping that the madness comes back and they can go back to their flipping ways. But
of course,
I don't think so. I found stuff on shelves for reasonable prices recently that I haven't seen on shelves in a long time, and I'm so happy about it. God, I'm so happy about it.
Good stuff, Brian. Good stuff. Awesome. Well, Brian, everybody here knows that we love science and beer, and we love crossing those streams. And here's an interesting one. Leftover yeast has been made into, quote, edible scaffolds for growing meat in a lab.
Yeah, I'm reporting this, and I'm not sure if this is good news or nightmare fuel for people. It's being presented as good news, so I'm going with that. Seems terrifying, but researchers at University College London have found a way to turn leftover brewer's yeast into edible scaffolds, like Tim was saying, which are then used to grow meat in a lab, which is also known as cultivated meat, which sounds very fancy. That meat has a top hat and a monocle, very cultured. It potentially solves a problem that scientists have had with creating meat in a lab. They keep doing it. That's part of their problem. But anyway,
the problem. Here's the problem.
The problem is just trying to do that.
You're growing meat in the lab.
It's like, I found your problem. I know how to fix it. Yeah. Stop doing that. So growing meat in a lab is doable. Unfortunately, it's not easy, but it's doable. The industry is struggling to find cheap or just reasonably priced edible material that mimics the texture and mouthfeel of real muscle and fat, which is your meat. And with the help of leftover brewer's yeast, they've gotten a little bit closer to achieving that. So when it was tested, this stuff, with a quote unquote chewing machine, because they've got one of those, so makes you want to buy this meat, doesn't it? The cellulose produced with yeast was actually closer in texture to natural meat than standard lab materials, showing lower levels of unnatural hardness, because we don't like unnatural hardness in our meat. It's going to be a little while before you see this at a supermarket. There is still a lot of work to be done. they got to change hearts and minds about this for sure. Researchers plan to test yeast from different styles of beer to see if the beer type affects the quality or yield of the meat scaffolding material. Which that part's interesting to me. Oh, would a stout do a better job than a saison, or I don't know. Interesting. They also plan to grow other cell types found in meat. I think they were doing mostly like a muscle fiber, but they got to do fats and other things like that because you need to, meat's more than just one thing. So they got to do a couple more things. But so I guess, that's good. We hear a lot of people talking about what you can do with spent grain. There's less talk about what you can do with the used or spent yeast. So this is a thing. Maybe this becomes something, I guess.
Interesting. If nothing else, it's interesting, Brian. It's, the technology there. So just straight up, Brian, would you eat lab grown meat?
Oh, I think I would taste it. It sounds, I don't think I would buy it if there was another option. If we were at a point where, the world's exploding and on fire, but we have lab grown steak, I'm like, well, dude, is it close to steak? Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
It kind of makes me think about there's one of my grocery stores. I forget which one it is, maybe Kroger or something, but they have little filet mignons, and I think they actually call it like a tenderloin filet or something. I don't know the technical term, but these things are seriously like $5 a piece. And they come in a little vacuum pack and they're sealed up, and I'm like, you know what? This is $5. I'm gonna check one out. And I got it and checked it out. It was good. I'm not gonna say it was great. It was definitely not the best steak. It overperformed $5. I'll say that. So
was it lab grown? Was that what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying, that these different ways, of course, if I can get a nice big, 12-ounce Wagyu every time, but my pocketbook does not necessarily go that way. But my thinking was, these cheaper steaks, if we find other ways to get meat, and of course, I'm sure, I don't know the quality of it, like they're talking about trying to get the hardness right and the cellulose and the terrifying chewing machine that they've got there on this, but I'd try it. And I've seen a couple videos where they went into some of these meat labs, and normally it's kind of like a hamburger meat, and the pieces that I've seen them cook, it's seriously like smaller than a golf ball. They're not growing rib roasts in a lab there. So it's just a little chunk.
I will be on board as soon as I get a meat printer where I can print out my own Wagyu steak, like the way that people do 3D printing right now. I'm like, let me print my own steak, or I don't know.
You can go in MS Paint and choose your marble pattern. Like you could put your name or your face or something in the marbling there. So
I'm gonna get that spray can thing that does this patchy work, and I'll just solid meat and then spray the fat throughout. Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Science, if you're listening to us, we want to be able to print our faces on our steak. So
that's right.
In the marbling there. That's
my face in fat in a steak.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Science, Brian.
Yeah,
science.
That's
pretty
amazing.
much.
Yeah,
good
we're saving
stuff.
the planet too. Yeah.
Yes. Well, y'all, that about wraps it up for our insanity this week. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Happy New Year to you. And you know what? Thanks for being with us for however long you have throughout 10 years of Beer Guys Radio. If you enjoy what we're doing here, we would absolutely love it if you would tell a friend to listen to the show, subscribe, check it out, share it on your socials. Tell somebody to tune in. Just help a brother out here. If you really enjoy what we're doing, we would love for you to support us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/beerguys. We'll get you some cool swag. We will get you over into our Discord where you can chat with us about whatever the heck you feel like, and we will give you an invitation to the after party each week after the live stream. Well, with all that said, we hope that you have a really, really good week, and don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Clear. Y'all, thanks so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We are going to wrap up here again. For those that are Patreon supporters, we will drop the link in the Discord chat so you can come join us for the after party here. But y'all have a good one, and we will see you next week. Cheers.